guys, welcome back. It's episode 3, week 3, and today we're talking about social media personalities versus reality. So in true extra format and fashion, I came to you in my natural form. This is as organic as you're ever gonna see me. I wanted to come to you guys without the hair, without the makeup, without the filters, just so you guys can see the reality of me. Why does that matter? Because, I've come to realize, before we get into our subtopics for today, I've completely come to realize, due to the fact that we literally now live in a generation where there's AI, that needless to say, how emotionally bonded humans are to social media, I thought that today's topic would be very interesting if we talked about social media versus reality, because I feel like ever since COVID, this is just honestly my own personal perception. I do have feelings associated to this perception, hence why I start off with the words I feel like. But I feel like, and I strongly believe, that ever since COVID happened, we birthed a completely new generation of human beings. Ever since COVID, a lot of people have tanked in the social skill department. It's either, why are you coming on social media and you're not glammed up to the nines? Why are you coming on social media and you don't have your hair freshly done as if you're literally doing an advert? Or people come on social media in a bonnet. Gross. They even go to the airport in a bonnet, which is freaking insane to me. But hey, I'm just a girl with a platform, with a big old mouth and a few opinions. I'm not God. Now, with that being said, I say all of this to say that I do think that, we should get into the fact that social media is in fact not reality. See, let me use myself as an example. You see how I look today? Very YN, very Miss So Belta Ash, very baseline. Because people forget that this is an app, right? And what's the difference? This is my famous line, but I never say it on social media because, again, people be getting in their feelings. This is an app. It could crash tomorrow. That whole platform can crumble. They can censor the World Wide Web, and then y'all don't have anything to find stimulation off the back of. If all you have to offer is your looks and your material goods, the depth is running low. I don't want to call you shallow, but you're shallow. Thank you. Additionally, the reason that I personally feel liberated enough, if that's what you want to call it, for this modern day feminist, I bring more to the table than see. I got a personality. Don't shoot the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger. We don't need to worry about the look department. We don't need to worry about the material goods department. We don't got to worry about the put department. Social media versus reality. Let's get into it. So subtopic 1, we're going to talk about the mask we built. Because that's the thing. A lot of people will get on social media. They always want to generate this dialogue of content of how authentic they are and how real they are and how genuine they are and how they've never been slighted and this and that and that and this, curating this notion of perfection, when in reality, the people that go above and beyond to curate how perfect their life is, those are usually the people that are going through hell behind closed doors, whether it's physical, mental, or emotional. They're going through hell behind closed doors. I myself had an era where I wanted to curate content that was basically the opposite of my reality, because in some way, shape, or form, not only did it give me a soapbox to stand on a shallow scale, but it also made me believe, or let's say more so feel, and then internalize my feelings as an actual belief, that my reality, once that camera was off, was actually better than it was. Not true. Not true. And to even double down on that, the people that are very busy, building this mask, they do not like themselves outside of the image that they're portraying. That can come off very abrasive. So let's double down on that by saying there's levels to not liking yourself. Some people are more vocal about these distastes than others, or these levels than others. But at the bottom line, if you don't like yourself, you don't like yourself. And that's going to come out, and it's going to bleed out in different ways. it's very easy to create this ideology of how perfect and polished and scenic and timeless and monetizable a person's life is, right? When you're curating behind an editor's chair or an editor's table. Not a lot of people want to curate reality. I have some favorite content creators that a lot of people have actually canceled because of how unapologetically and authentically themselves they are. For me, it's the fact that they're unapologetically, consistently themselves that makes me just so infatuated with them, in the context of actually vocalizing, hey, I am a fan of your content. I'm beyond a supporter at this point. I'm a fan of your content because you just keep the content rolling and you don't stop being true to yourself. I also find it very funny, like when people assume when it comes to content, they assume that if you don't have if you're not dripped out in designer, you're not wearing your wealth, you don't have a bunch of surgery, fillers, fake teeth, I don't know, like the list goes on, and no shade because it looks great. We're not going to sit here and talk down on people that have invested in themselves enough to make themselves look a certain way. If that's what they want to do, that's their prerogative, right? Free speech. I've realized that most of the hate comes from the people that either had to sell parts of themselves to get these things, or people that just flat out don't have the capacity to gain these things through their own fruits of their labor or creativity, that feel like those items are the items that determine where you land on the totem pole of popularity, of establishment, of if you made it or not. And I find that very funny because people often forget that you have to crawl before you walk, right? So everybody has to start somewhere. With that being said, I also genuinely believe that people build these personas as a coping mechanism so that they don't necessarily need to basically sit one-to-one with their trauma and one-to-one with the parts of themselves that they genuinely don't like, and that they're too, I'm just going to use sensitive for lack of better verbiage, even though there is better verbiage, but they're a little bit too sensitive to hyperfixate on themselves on this area because they've come up with coping mechanisms that allow them to feel like it's okay, it's not that big of a deal, we're just going to continue on and don't worry, like I'm not going to worry about it. This type of mindset. Everybody's different, but I personally try to stay away from processing on such a scale because I just don't see the productivity of that. I think that process of processing your emotions quite literally puts you in a circumstance where you inadvertently come into being in survival mode. Survival mode sounds cool until you're in it, and then you realize it's not. And then your life is just literally flying by you, and you don't even realize how much time is being wasted because your self-coping mechanism is to just stay focused in survival mode. I really wouldn't even wish that on my enemy. I think that once you get to a stage of desensitization of social media personas versus reality, not only does the content get inconsistent, the imagery is not always up to par because, you're curating content, but you're also curating an image or imagery. So your fan base that you've now built off the backs of these two foundations that you're sharing this platform on the backs of two foundations, your fan base now sees you and they feel a parasocial relationship to you as if they know you, when in fact they don't know you from a can of paint. They didn't know the real you versus the fake you. If you were to put yourself, the real version, the fake version, and 15 other renditions of the many social faces that you wear in a police lineup, and you told them to pick one. If you were feeling generous that day, you might even have told them to pick two. They'll get it wrong every time because it's a parasocial relationship. I have a quote, because if you've been watching for the last week, you guys know I love to integrate quotes. A persona isn't a lie. It's a filter for the parts of you the world hasn't earned. So I'm going to use myself as an example. If some of you guys have found my main page It literally says in the bio, satirical persona, not reality. Sometimes you literally gotta spell it out for the kids because what's not clicking, Steven? What's not clicking? I really wish I had a mini tambourine. Sometimes you really have to spell it out for the folks because I have had so many people follow me, unfollow me, follow me, unfollow me, unfollow me, follow me again, to the point that those people I literally just had to block because they couldn't make their decision up, and you're not about to be messing up my analytics, so gone on. But respectfully, I literally remember putting satirical persona, not reality, in my bio when I reached peak rage bait of fed up. Because why, when I'm satirical, funny, dry humor, I have to be categorized as an angry minority woman? I won't go too deep. But when a non-minority has the same brash, dry, bubbly, vocal sense of humor, they're just witty. Oh, Carl? No, he went for a fly. He's just a goofball. He's just witty. Oh, and he's been like this his whole life. Don't worry about him. He's harmless. Why is he harmless, but I'm not? Exactly. No, I'm not going to demote my personality or tone down my personality because now my personality is being deemed as too much because it comes in a minority wrapper. I know a lot of people aren't ready for that conversation, so we're going to keep on with the keeping on. The offline cost of your persona and reality not matching, I do thoroughly think I already experienced that prior to all my posts before I put satirical persona, not reality in my bio on a personal scale, just because people love to find Instagram pages and they love to try to categorize somebody. They want to stick a label on them. I experienced this already on a personal scale with everything that led up to me putting satirical persona, not reality in my bio. But I think that once I put that up there, at least for me, it created like a buffer between my fan base and the expectation I had on myself of coming onto this platform, whatever platform, curating content without putting some disclaimer like, hey, parental advisory warning, you know? So for me, that was the way I was able to like cope with the idea of not having to overthink the imagery and the content that I wanted to put out, and at least be able to consistently have organic on-theme content that felt true to myself and not some weird satirical book, literally, that I'm curating that's not authentic to me or anything that I take pride in. I definitely noticed for myself that it significantly relieved and alleviated any of the pressures that I could have been applying or I could have felt from the watching eyes or the monitoring spirits of my fan base, or just any other societal conditions that I could have projected onto myself by announcing, hey guys, this isn't reality. Like when I put that in my bio, that was a gentle way of me saying, guys, this isn't reality. So please don't get stuck there. This is a fun page. Satirical persona, not reality. I actually recently even added the gorilla because I live in Germany and I just feel like... And honest to God, ever since I changed, let's get back on topic, because honest to God, ever since I changed my bio to what it's now stating, I have genuinely felt as though people have taken off this pressure that I need to be in a certain bracket of behavior, and they just chilled out when it comes to watching my content drop. And I love that. I love that, because don't come over here trying to stigmatize me and categorize me because you got yourself in a freaking box. Life has just become so much calmer, so much easier, and I just love it here, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. I can only use myself as an example. Next quote. The internet can make you look invincible, even when you're breaking quietly. So true. So true. I could literally feel the way I look, but I could be dressed and presenting myself the opposite. And to the viewer, I'm going to look invincible. But internally, I'm like feeling broken. You know what I mean? Living between identities. So basically, balancing who you are versus how you show people yourself. I never took advantage of testing the personas before I brought them to social media. I just had several different phases since 2012 till now. I had a lot of different identities that I did experiment with over the 10 years, but I never consciously thought of it as, oh, I'm going to experiment with this personality and that and that and this and this. I just had parts of myself that I knew were monetizable because of how the response that I would get in real time out in society. And so, and like growing up and stuff. So I kind of just utilized the skills that I knew that really drew people into me. But the thing was, is I didn't have any rationing with those skills. So I would definitely overdo it. And I think more so over the years, instead of trying out different personalities or personas or egos or this or that, I've actually taken more time to like defluff some of the skills and personas and energy levels that I had already naturally. And I think that that's actually drawn people in a lot more to me due to the fact that I'm already super sarcastic, witty, goofy, playful. I can be loud, but most times I'm super quiet, super introverted, very social, but I'm very antisocial. Like even my dad has looked at me in horror. Like he's like, I think I've said like once, like, I think I'm antisocial. He's like, I think so too. I'm like, Jesus, isn't this supposed to be a safe space? Damn. Golly, bro. But nonetheless, I think that like releasing some of the traits that we as humans have not necessarily mastered the control valve on, that has actually helped me draw more people in, like I said. The good news is through the fact that I had some mild awareness, I haven't always had the most tasteful moments on social media. Roll the clip. No, don't roll the fucking clip. The beauty of that is I have had enough awareness to know that I needed to like go ghost, rebrand, pop up, try it. If it didn't work, I would go back ghost and rebrand. That sounds like I'm reinventing my personality, which I just said that I didn't do. But the difference is my going ghost and popping up and my rebrand in between would be, what did I do too much of that I was already doing? Not what do I want to add? What was I doing too much of? So every time I approached, I already knew what I was bringing based off of what's worked in my case studies in the past. But whenever I would ghost and rebrand, I would just say, okay, something turned off this sector of audience. How do I monetize that? I loved having that freedom because that freedom allows you the creative control on what parts of yourself you actually want to show instead of just creating or curating a fake ideology of who you are and that's not authentic to you. I'm a huge fan of making relatable content, honest content, but entertaining content. I'm not necessarily a huge fan of content creators that curate content that's not realistic. And I say realistic in the context of you would never do any of these activities in your daily life. So why are you doing them for us? I also do think that social media breaks are healthy, unpopular opinion. So I might ghost my fan base for 30 days. Maybe it's 30 days of me doing absolutely nothing. I don't know, like maybe it's 30 days of I'm dealing with my personal life. I do think that it's important to come onto this app and show your growth and show ways that you've improved and, you know, share parts of yourself. But I also do think that there is such a thing as oversharing on this app. And I'm a firm believer that you shouldn't overshare on this app just because of safety reasons. I have had some crazy stories in my past that I do not care to share, and that came from oversharing with the wrong people that already had issues with boundaries. Next quote, and this is probably going to be our second to last quote because we're running low on time. You can have layers without being fake. I know that's going to upset people. Let me repeat that and add to it. You can have layers without being fake. Complexity isn't a crime. So to close today, I think that the modern rule book, that's what I wrote it down as, the new modern rule book, which should consist of building an online life that doesn't drain you. In my perspective, those are things that can be displayed by having a modern reality. Everybody has multiple versions of themselves, right? Figuring out what part of yourself you actually want to show that feels like it resonates to you genuinely, I feel like that's a good foundation for the new modern rule book. Also, building a healthy online identity. What does that consist of? Well, I'll tell you from my personal experience, what I had to really hone in on were boundaries. You gotta have boundaries. Content that definitely feels true. You have to post at your pace. Don't be one of these overachievers of, oh, that bitch posting every week. I'm gonna post every day. I'm gonna post every millisecond. Please, relax. You're at a 10, bring it down to a 2. Don't chase the algorithm. Let the algorithm chase you. Your crowd will find you. Don't go looking. Just lock in. Do your thing. You gotta protect your energy while you stay visible. Don't give your energy out to too many people. A lot of people be wanting to bait you in the DM. They want to open up dialogue with you. They want to suck you into their world while they're halfway supporting yours. It's a dub. It's a dub. And always, 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 you have to end whatever social media interaction you have with grounding. Because authenticity doesn't mean exposure. It just means initiation. Okay? Please don't let that go over your head. Now, as we get ready to close, because we have finally come to the end of episode 3, week 3, I want to leave you with a quote. And it's a simple quote this week. Your online persona shouldn't be a cage. It should be a window you choose to open. Please don't cage yourself in. Don't cage yourself in. There's so many cages in society, like literally, no matter what side of the pole of society you're on, there's way too many cages. Don't cage yourself in. Your online persona shouldn't be a cage. It should be a window you choose to open. And that window should be opportunity. Love you guys. I'll see you next week. I promise I won't look like a little boy. Or maybe I will. Who knows? Stay tuned. That's the end for this week. Thank you guys so much for watching. I promise week 4, I will not come on here looking like a little boy. Or maybe I will. Just kidding, I'm not. But I wanted to come more relatable for this episode. So hopefully you enjoyed it. If I scared you, don't worry. We'll be back to normal programming next week. Love you guys. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Please, don't get into trouble. Love you.